Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart-to-heart conversations about their day-to-day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. So welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Chloe Panta. And she is a transformational coach. She does RTT, an RTT practitioner, and she specializes in helping women, men, and teens overcome unworthiness, shame, broken mentality, mindset, weight issues, phobias, traumas, and all this with rapid transformational technique. Now we were discussing, and this is something fairly recent in 2017. So I was thinking, well, there's a lot going on during that time period. So what brought you? First of all, welcome. I'm sorry, I'm already ahead of
Thank
myself.
you.
But what brought you into that field, that desire? Like, what was going on for you, and how did you get there?
So at that time in my life, I was going through different phases where I was just trying to figure out who am I? I was in a position where I enjoyed what I did, but it wasn't lighting me up. And I felt that I had a pull to do more. And I wanted to help people in some way, but at that time, I just didn't know how. At that time in my life, I thought that I would run a boutique and I would do something that was geared towards fashion. And that's what I did for quite a bit of time until I got burned out. And I decided that this is not sustainable. There's a greater calling for me. And I did some research on the life coach certification. I've always enjoyed helping people. I was always the go-to person for my friends and family for advice. And people looked up to me and said that I helped them to change their life for the better. And I thought, well, maybe this is what it is for me. Maybe I need to look more into this. So in 2017, I decided that I wanted to become a life coach and I got certified doing that. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot of information, the different types of modalities and techniques. And it really helped me to put together a program that would help people get from where they are in life, which is stuck, or maybe they have low self-worth, or they don't feel worthy, or they don't have the confidence that they were born with to live the life that they want to live, and just to help them to get to that point. So once I had the correct tools to help people on a more transformative level, I started to coach people to help them to live out their most limitless life. And that's how I got started in 2017. I just had a calling that I was meant to do more. And I've always been in helping positions. Before being a life coach, I worked in human resources and I enjoy helping people. And I've always felt that if I can help just one person to live or to make their life better, I can make the world a better place, because at that point, there is less crime, there is less violence, because someone has the tools that they need and the modalities to change. And that's really what prompted me to want to take that turn and just kind of learn more and just become someone that can be a vessel to help somebody else live a better life.
Mhm. And how did you like hone into unworthiness and shame? Like, is there's populations of people, but why those two? I mean, I was trying to think. Those are, I mean, broken mentality mindset. That's more at large,
Yeah.
But what is this thing about shame and unworthiness? How come those?
Those were the most common issues that were coming up to me from the people that I would help, from men, women, even teenagers. And it came down to their beliefs. When we're children, when we're babies, we are believed to take on the beliefs of our parents, our caretakers, those around us, our peers, the media, and those belief systems become our own. So even though we are told they are true, they may not be the truth. And
Mhm.
when I saw that as a pattern, I wanted to make sure that people understood, just because you grew up in a household where this was the truth for you, it doesn't mean it has to be your truth today. and you can step into who you are authentically, and I can show you how. And that was really one of the reasons why, even for myself growing up, there were limiting beliefs around what I could or couldn't do, the type of success I could or couldn't have. If I were to go, to get a job, I'd work there for 30 years and I'd hate it, but I'd get a pension and then I could live happily in retirement 30 years later. That sounded really great, by the way. But I'm being sarcastic, obviously, but I just wanted people to know that you don't have to live in a life where you don't feel like waking up in the morning, or every day is a drag, or you're unhappy. There is a way to change that. It isn't some pie in the sky dream or hope or wish. You can really live the life that you want to live. So I started to do a lot of inner child work with my clients, and I got to the root cause of where the belief stemmed from, and we worked from there. But that was the reason why, was because so many people, they have feelings of shame or torment or invisibility or unworthiness because of what someone has instilled in them, and they've taken that as their truth. And I felt it was my job to unravel the pieces back and the layers to get them to come back to their whole, authentic, worthy self.
Mm-hmm. And then the process that you use to achieve that, just take either of them, for example. So their beliefs, they're obviously in our subconscious. We don't necessarily know that we have them or where they came from, but you're basically at one level bringing it to consciousness, so that they can recognize, oh, okay, this is old patterning, I'm assuming. But then how do you undo the pattern? What is your method for that? Or what tools do you use? Or
I have created a 4-step framework. And what I do in this framework, I help my clients to first go back to the beginnings. So the beginnings is where we kind of unravel everything that they no longer want to hold on to, and we kind of get to the root cause of what stemmed from that. Once we unravel that, we then can begin to reinforce what they really want to call in. So sometimes that can be going back to their younger selves or their inner child. Maybe when they were 12 years old, they were told that they couldn't become a scientist or they couldn't become a doctor because they were a girl, or because they just weren't smart enough, or whatever the reason was. And we go back and we send love to that inner child or to their 12-year-old self to help them to release what they're holding on to that no longer serves them and is keeping them stuck right now, because there's been a wall that's been built up that is keeping them from becoming the person that they want to be in this day and age. And once we do that work, it can take a little bit of time. It depends on the person. Once we do that, once we unblock where they are, we then can up level, and we then at that point can begin to call in what they're trying to achieve, whatever their goals are. That can say maybe they want to go back to school, maybe they want to start a family or get a better career or start a business, whatever they want. We can then focus on taking the necessary aligned actionable steps to get there, once we've cleared all the blockages that have been keeping them stuck and holding them back. But it's more than just obviously saying affirmations and mantras. It's actually doing the work and believing that what you're trying to call in is possible for you. A lot of people that have low self-worth, they don't believe that the life that they want is possible for them to have. So we start with small goals. Maybe their goal is to become a homeowner. In this day and age, homes across the nation, the average home is over $400,000 to become a homeowner. Maybe in their mind, it's just impossible for them to achieve that kind of level of home ownership. So we start small. We start with, okay, let's say maybe you want to try a condo or a townhome instead of a single family home. And we start with smaller goals. And then as we get more comfortable, we then expand to allow in more abundance for larger goals. And that's how I work with clients, to help them expand their way of thinking, so that way they can really call in the life that they want, that they thought was not possible for them based upon previous limiting beliefs.
So I'm going to make it say it in other words, but please make sure that I've got the essence of it. It's in a sense you're programming a possibility by showing the evidence in small steps that what they're testing out, that they want, actually can happen. And
Exactly.
from that, it sort of negates the old record that they're unworthy and they cannot get it.
Exactly.
So it's like a juxtaposition to the imminent proof of the opposite makes the other truth not true.
Yeah. That's a part of it. The other part is I have these audios that I create. They're called creative imaginings, and they're a type of hypnotherapy that I use, and they help to reinforce and reprogram the new way of thinking. So that way, when someone, let's say they're going to sleep or they're getting ready to wake up, they can listen to this, and this will help them to reprogram what they want to believe as it overwrites the old and negative thought patterns. So that also helps someone to kind of become the person that they were so afraid to become or didn't know that they could become. So that's another part of what I do.
Right. Because it's not just the thought, you actually have to feel it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to feel it, otherwise nothing will change. You can say, that's why I say you can say a million affirmations, but if you don't believe or feel any of them, then it's just words. Nothing's going to change because it doesn't matter. But if you feel and believe and know it's possible for you to have, then that's when the real change happens.
So in your time since you've been practicing, what have you seen that is like, awesome and just like, wow, that is so, no names obviously, but what has surprised you? I mean, maybe it wouldn't surprise you because you would know that it's possible, but in a sense that is so like incredible, that you're like, oh my goodness, this is true.
I can say it for some clients, and I can also give an example of myself. So I'll give an example of a client. So I had a client, and he was working in a job that he didn't like. It wasn't paying a lot of money, and he was trying to find a way out, but he was also going through a messy divorce, and his children, who he loved and adored, they began to just wonder, well, do you really love us, Daddy? Because you're getting a divorce from Mommy, and are we really going to be able to spend time with you? He was just in a really deep, dark place. And at the time, his wife was shaming him. She would blame him for circumstances, situations, and he just felt as if he couldn't get out of this deep, dark black hole. So he had to leave his home and go live with his parents again because he didn't have the finances to stay in his home and also take care of his kids and his wife. So he left his home. And then after that, he was just in a place where he felt as if he hit a rock bottom. He couldn't understand how he could climb out of that and get back to where he wanted to be. So we started to work together. And after a few short sessions of us working together, mostly with creative imaging to help him kind of unprogram what his beliefs were around shame, he was able to get a promotion out of nowhere at his job. He was able to make more money. His wife, who used to be irate, then began to come to her senses and said, you know what, let's just settle out of court. We'll settle this the right way. That way we don't have to have a messy, long, dragged out divorce. He talked to his children, and they were able to understand that this is some things that happen sometimes to some adults. It doesn't mean that he loves them any less, and he'll still spend time with them. And then within a span of 3 months, he was able to start a business, a cleaning business, which his brother had left to him because his brother moved out of state and left him this business. He was able to grow that business, leave his job, buy a home, and just have a completely new life.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
Within the span of combination of less than 6 months, his life completely changed. And when I see things like that happen to my clients, I say, you know what? I know that this works, but when it works for other people that are in really low, deep, dark places, you know that the work works when people put in the work and take the action steps to get there. So that's a really huge transformational story, because this person they were just in a really bad place. And when you're in a really bad place, sometimes you feel as if there's no way to get out. So that's an example that I can give for clients.
And what does it take? Are there attributes to the kind of person that's going to succeed? Have you noticed that? Yeah, those who do really well, that there's some things in common.
Absolutely. The people that do well, they're in a place where they have nothing else to lose. They're like, I'm in this dark place. I need to change. If I don't change, I don't know what else to do at this point. So people who are ready for change, it works for them because they are willing to be susceptible. They're willing to have an open mind and shift their perception of what they thought they knew to take on new experiences that may seem different for them and just explore new options that they probably never have explored before. And the people that it typically doesn't work out for are people who are either skeptics of what this work can do and how it can help them, or they're just not ready. They're comfortable where they are right now. Things could be better for them, but they're like, oh, I'm doing pretty okay. I don't really need to change. My life could be better. I want it to be better, but right now I'm okay. So if people are not ready for change, it doesn't work for them because they're not willing to put in the work to get the results. And then the people who are willing and ready to put in the work and to change, it really works for them because they're the ones who are expecting results to happen. And when you expect something to happen, it typically works out for you, versus if you expect nothing to happen for you, then typically that's what the universe is going to send you in return, more of what you're already looping and experiencing in your life right now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. And so is this technique that you're using, or can you say any more about it so that people understand how it's different from, I don't know, psychotherapy, how it's different? Is it officially hypnotherapy, or it's using principles of it? Like, if you could explain a little bit more what it is that you do.
No, of course. So I use several different techniques. One of the techniques I use is parts therapy. So I explore the different aspects or parts of someone's personality. And this will help me to integrate conflicting beliefs, and I can help them align with the more positive self-perception. So that's something that I use, but I also use regression therapy. So I can help them to explore any past experiences that may have contributed to low self-confidence or low self-worth. And as I guide them back to revisiting, let's say, their inner child, or when they were 12 years old and something happened to them, I can help them reframe those experiences to promote healing, and then also more of a positive reinterpretation of themselves. As far as for hypnotherapy, I use that as well. And when I call it creative imagining, it's just my spin on it because I do a combination of audio that allows the person to make sure that they're relaxed, they're in a position where they're comfortable and they're susceptible to allowing in something that will help them to reprogram their way of thinking. But it is hypnotherapy. And in that audio, I do have some type of sayings that I do say within the audio that will help them to integrate what I'm saying to be true for them. So if someone takes to, I want to weigh 130 pounds and they think it's not possible for them, then in that audio, I'm giving them the steps that they would actually take in their real actual life to help them believe that getting to that is achievable and possible for them. So I do have some mantras that I create that are specifically going to be susceptible to them. But those are some of the techniques and modalities that I use within the therapies for clients.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what you have as a practice, I would think would be would lend itself very well to a lot of people now that are sort of becoming conscious that they've, they may have over trusted their government or their doctor or healthcare or whatever without, naming it directly. But have you had the ability to help those people? Because I would imagine there would be shame, there would be guilt, there could be, if they've done this to their kids or suggested it, like it's I mean, like I know just looking at my mail, I'm like overwhelmed by, how much. And so have you worked with people like that to help them or, come to terms?
Absolutely. There are some people when they're ready and they're ready to say, I've tried everything else, nothing else has helped me, or I want to take an alternative route. There's always room for improvement. And I've helped these people to overcome low self-worth and confidence. Another technique that works specifically for these types of people is a visualization technique. So what I do is I encourage them to visualize a positive and empowering scene, visualizing the world as a whole, worthy, loving place full of love and light, but also helping them to create a mental image that would allow them to see themselves as successful, having high self-worth, high self-confidence, and achieving the life that they want to live. So that's something that I do for people that are specifically in that situation and they want to overcome negative low self-worth and they feel as if, nothing has worked for them or, what do I do at this point in my life? That visualization technique can help them to overcome those types of emotions that they're going through.
And what about fear? Because that's one of the things that, as more and more information is surfacing, people are going, oh my God, in my body, there's something really dangerous. I'm a ticking time bomb. I mean, whatever, pilots are now wondering if they, they want to keep their jobs, but they're aware that, they could be risking a lot of people's lives if they got, things in the air. And so there's a lot of, just a lot of emotional stuff coming through. So how do you deal with fear? Like, how do you get, because you can't prove that you're not at risk, right? There's not yet a test to show, there's, D-dimer you can look at. There's a few things, but it doesn't prove that you're safe. So how do you take a person who might have been coerced or who was truly afraid, and then trusted and did this, and then now they're afraid that this is going to be the cause of the problem, right? So how do you deal with them?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that point up because that's something that a lot of my clients come to me with. And I've mentioned that in my book, Untapped Magic. I talk about this in a chapter that is specifically on overcoming fear. So one of the questions that I ask my clients to kind of get to the root cause is, has this ever happened to you? Have you experienced this before, or is it just the media or someone who told you of something that happened to them or someone that they know? Is this your experience? 9 times out of 10, it is not their experience. It is something that the media has portrayed as true, or this can happen. Be fearful, it's going to come. And people are living in fear, and they're also immobilized from living their lives. So I asked them this question: is this yours? Is this yours? And if it isn't, you need to shed what doesn't belong to you, because it's no longer serving you. When you live in a life of fear, that could be going to the grocery store to get groceries because you're afraid someone might come in and bomb the place or shoot people, or go to school, or go to the movie theater, or go to a concert, or anywhere in public, because these things have happened. So of course it can put fear into others that it's possible for this to happen. But if it is not yours, it doesn't belong to you, and you've latched on the energy of somebody else's experience or their fears. So once we get that out the way, the other thing that I do is I have them to face the fear. I have them to go into a grocery store or go to a farmer's market where there are other people, and to embrace the environment and to see how you feel. Even if it's for 30 seconds, even if it's for a minute, when you place yourself in that environment, you're exposing yourself to say that I am facing my fears, and I am better than this. But on top of that, I also have them to say, when you're in this fearful place, that you are safe, you are protected, and you are secure. And to imagine a bright white light surrounding their being, protecting them wherever they may go. So that way they are protected. But not only saying that, but believing that they are protected and that they are safe in that environment, but also shedding what doesn't belong to them. Now, if the situation has happened to them, maybe they are a survivor of something like that. Maybe they are a survivor of trauma or abuse, and this is very real for them, and they are afraid that it may happen again. I have to ask them, did you survive the situation? Are you a survivor of that situation? Yes, they are, because they're here with us right now talking about it. And it can be difficult because we know people that may not have survived that situation, or people that know people that did not. And it can be very scary. Of course it is. But once we realize that we've survived that trauma and that abuse, that situation, that tragedy, we can go on to live our lives knowing that we are a survivor, and that we are safe, we are protected, and we are loved. So those are some techniques that I give clients who are fearful. And we live in a scary world. Unfortunately, the world we live in, it can be portrayed as scary. But we have the power to protect our peace and to live in a peaceful world that we create ourselves. So I try to encourage and uplift my clients to create that positive environment themselves and live in their own happy world, because it is possible for them to have that.
I mean, we are co-creators, so it's like, why not create something positive?
Exactly.
I mean, and and if it's your time, it's your time, right? So it can go both ways. But there's no point preparing for the worst when you could be just preparing for the best.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Okay, well, any final words? And our time is coming to a close. Anything else you'd like to share, or how people could work with you, or last words, whatever?
Absolutely. So I am an author. I do have an upcoming book. It is called Untapped Magic, and it does talk about the modalities that I've shared in this conversation, but also other modalities and techniques. And it will be out March of 2024, but it's available for pre-order now. And I also do have a free workshop available. If anyone's interested, you can join that for free. It's on my website, chloepanta.co. And it is a free workshop on overcoming limiting beliefs and low self-worth. So if you want to learn more about how you can overcome limiting beliefs and low self-worth, I encourage you to join the workshop, because it will be amazing.
Okay.
But I thank you for having me.
All right. No, thank you for sharing all your knowledge.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.